Welcome everybody to SNG Weekly, episode number 1. That's right, this is the new show, this is the new look, and this week we're going to work on the D. We have to scratch out all those windows on the hull so that they glow and light up, and we got to finish off the panel lines on the Skydiver. We got a full week, let's get going. Well, here we are coming from beautiful Ventura, where SNG Studio sits behind us, and I can't believe we have been here a year already. In fact, it is a year, July 7th, that we opened the doors, and we're still here thanks to all of you and all your support. So why don't we go inside and take a tour, because many of you will be joining us for the first time and you don't know what the heck SNG is, so come this way. It's right in here. Really, I wouldn't kid you. Come on, come on. This is our wonderful studio, and this is Mary's gallery. We'll turn some lights on, where she displays her photography and soon her other forms of art as well. Of course, you all know the Mr. Spock sculpture, and some of you don't, and our alien sculpture. And here is our edit bay or CGI bay, whatever you like to call it. This is where we create magic. CGI, After Effects, animation. We do editing on Adobe Premiere Pro. We cut the show here, and we can do editing on all kinds of different movie projects as well as the special effects. Over here, one of my favorite toys, and something I built, going on 3 years now, I guess it is, yeah. An authentic replica of the captain's chair from the original Star Trek series. We just love this. Over here, we've got, one of my personal favorites, a print of Andy Provert's painting that he did, along with Rick Sternbach, who did the background, of the D, which he created for Next Generation, and he was very kind to sign this to me, and that was back in, my goodness, 2012. Wow. Anyway, various models that I've built for myself over time that are also the same models we build for our customers and for film and TV. A fully functional Nautilus, which is from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the famous Disney movie, one of my favorite films. This is a fully functional diving and surfacing submarine, as well as all the rest of the submarines you see in here. And of course, this is what really kind of started it all right here. I scratch built this about 3 years ago, going on 4, and it was a very popular thread running on the Prop Replica Forum, the RPF, and I built this entirely from scratch because I wanted one, and I said, gee, you know what, I'm just going to make one, and I did all the masters, I made the molds, and I produced the model, and there's a few of you out there that have these and have built them, and you've done great jobs. This is the original, still sitting here, still working great after all this time. As you come through here, you'll see various props and other models. This is from Ken Palco. It's a concept phaser for a TOS look into the present day, which I just love. Thank you, Ken, so much for this. One of the things we're missing here is the Battlestar Galactica gun that he gave Mary and I, which we really, really love a great deal. More submarines, more models down here, Battlestar Galactica. Masks I've done in the past over here. The communion bust, which I did for Whitley Strieber, which he gave us permission to actually and sell. And my wonderful World War II Type 7 German U-boat, which is also fully functional as well. And there's more models everywhere you look, and bits of magic and wonder. Oh, and Joe Melvin made this for us, which we really love, which is from the original TOS Star Trek series. Joe also made that wonderful plaque right there for the big Enterprise model. And so this is where one of the rooms where we create a lot of magic is our kitchen. Every studio should have a kitchen, so we really love this place. It's really fantastic. And of course, if you're looking at this in contrast to the video that Mary posted on her Facebook page and other sites, It is a video of when we first came in here, before anything was put inside. You need to compare that with how it looks now. These are the wonderful gallery display stands that Mary built from pallets that have lighting on them, which is all positional and really cool, so that photographs, paintings, any kind of photography or print art can be put on these to be displayed if you are having a gallery showing, which we hope to be having gallery showings here very soon. She's worked long and hard on these. They have wheels on them that lock, they unfold, and they hinge. Brilliant, brilliant design and concept. There are more models all around here, and of course the sailing ship actually functions as well. We have other planes hanging from the ceiling. This is our green screen. So we have a lot of room in here to work. All our tools are over there. Colby, who was so kind to give us this vacuum form. We have lathes. We have curing ovens. We have tools. We just have everything we need here to do magic, and we love doing it. So we got one place to look at, and that's upstairs. Now, this is where we do a lot of sit down in the air conditioning work when it's warm, on model work and props, and soon creatures. And here we are. We got a J.J. Abrams mobile going together over here slowly but sure. This is a model in progress with all lights up, with turning the cells. Over here we've got the Enterprise D going together for a client in China, which is almost done. And this has, of course, all the windows and lights in it, glowing and lit up and blinking. And a special stand for it. Over here we got some parts of the Skydiver downstairs that you saw, and all kinds of other models and tons of models yet to build. And we love this room. We're still organizing it. We're still, after a year, organizing all the stuff that came from the original site in Northridge. So here we have the JJ Mobile all lit up. Of course, it's not finished. There's lots of gaps and seams that have to be filled, but at this point we're just at the point where we can start closing the hole and gapping it and sealing off the light leaks, and then we'll be able to do the decals. And as you can see, the cells really give off a wonderful pattern on the ship and on my hand that can be seen dancing across it. Just love that look. It's a beaut. She's just looking beautiful. Here we are with a lot of the lights off in the room, so you can really see how all the windows are showing off really nice, and all the windows I just did in the neck, all the windows down under here. This model is alive. It really is. I just love this. This is beautiful, and we are building one of these for us, despite how hard this one was to build. So that's it. You've had the grand tour of the studio. Now you know what our studio looks like, because I'm sure a lot of people are joining us from the first time, judging by the amount of subscriptions we keep getting and by the questions we'll get asked too about the studio in email and other venues. So this is SNG. The beat goes on with the Enterprise D, and that is scraping out more windows. And you can see I've done a number of them on the underside of the saucer, and I actually started some here, but you know what, I'm just going to do one section at a time. Again, I'm not doing every window. I'm doing just every other practically, and the ones that aren't lit will be black. I have to do this, what you're watching right now, over the entire hull. These go quite fast. I found I have to be very careful though not to scrape too heavily, or it actually chips huge sections of paint off, which is not something that we want to do. Scraping off a lot more windows. You can see the ones that have been blackened out, which I used a black Sharpie. This is a very, very fine tip Sharpie. So it absolutely perfectly fits down inside those windows, the ones that are not lit. Interesting enough though, when they're unlit, the ones that are unlit, scraped, look almost black. Here I'm going to turn on the lights here, and you can see all the windows pop, and they're popping very well. I was able to go around the ones that got chipped because the paint chips sometimes, and just taking a very small brush like this and some of the touch-up paint, go in there and correct it. It was actually pretty easy. I thought it'd be more difficult. I do see a light leak here, which is very easily addressed with some of the tulip in there, which I'll do tomorrow. But we're at a point now where, well, I've got these windows down here to do, and the windows on the back here to do. That would appear to be an Aztec. And of course the neck. Yeah, so I'm going around and I'm getting a little bit of light leaks on the D. Where we're at with the D now is I only have the windows described in the neck. The engineering section is completely done. I just have a couple on the bottom to do, and then the neck. The neck is going to have to be done using, I'm just getting these light leaks here, using a very fine pin, because the windows are so tiny that the rat tail piles that I'm using aren't going to do it. Now, I'll show you, I'll lift this up very carefully, and you'll be able to get a good view of all the windows on the engineering section. And up the neck too. They're just not done on the side. I started some on this side here, barely, and you can see the ones underneath here. So it's just about there. Once all that's done, then we can move on and do the painting details. There's a few left. This really shows it off. Not sure why these windows in the engineering section are so much smaller than the ones underneath, but that's the way the design is. You can see still light leaking right through here that I have to get. I'm going to have to go over that again and again and again, but it is really looking pretty. And you notice that on the edges here you're seeing light. Well, this is just from being rubbed on things and grabbed and picked up. Once everything's done on this model, I have to go over it when it's on the stand one last time, get every light leak with the with a brush that's left, and then we're going to clear coat this thing, and the clear coat should end all those problems on this model, because once the clear coat's on, it will really keep it from chipping anymore. But this model is very, very difficult to build as the clear model, because despite the steel wool and the washing and everything else we've done, the paint doesn't really want to stick to it. There's something about it. If you have this model, when you take it out of the box, you're going to notice it feels like Formica. And Elliot Brown had a lot to say about that to us in an email, and other people have too. So I know I'm not the only one, or we're not the only one. But we'll come back later when I get all the rest of the windows done, and we'll have a final look at this, and I'll get all the light leaks, and we'll get a nice look at it before I put the clear on it. Okay. So I'm getting little light leaks, tiny little light leaks, little tiny light leaks. Where are you? Now I know that you guys know what I'm doing, because it was actually another thing that Data was saying, but I think it's appropriate under the circumstances. So what I'm doing is getting light leaks. In a second here, I'm going to show you all the windows, all painted. I mean, not painted, scraped out. But I just want to get these little light leaks that keep aggravating me, because the paint just does not want to stay stuck on this model. And yes, many of you written me and said you should have steel wooled it and done this and that. Get one of these and go do that. Then paint it and see what happens. If you can figure out a way to paint Teflon, I'll eat a bug. A rubber bug, or a gummy bear bug, but nevertheless. I'll eat a bug because I can't get it to stick. I mean, it will eventually. You just have to keep going over it again and again and again and again. But as you can see, we've got the engineering section is on here is all lit up beautifully. If I ever get my big foot off the cables, and the undersaucer and the neck. The neck, which is probably the hardest and most aggravating section to do, because if you do it, and you better do it the way this paint chips, after you assemble all the sub-assemblies, which is Simon Merckx's method of choice. In this case, for me, it was best to do it this way. And I've made this little tool with an X-Acto blade. I've cut a pin, a T-pin, and you can get T-pins at your hobby store. And this, because the pin by itself is not long enough to get in here, you can't rest your hand on it. This allows you to have stiffness in the pin, and it allows you to get all those windows. That's how I did those windows. Yeah. So, pretty hard stuff, but done nevertheless. So, now that all the windows are done and everything, I got to go around and touch up all the paint, get all the little light leaks, and I see more of them every time I look. And then, go back over these, make these copper again, add orange to this, and we're going to shoot this thing with some clear. Let me take these silly things off my head. I'm going to shoot this with some clear, and hopefully that will lock all this stuff in really good, and we can do the decals. And after the decals are done, it's done. I think I'm right to the point now with this model where I can now get some primer on it. I've talked about this before, but the whole point of putting primer over the tape is to get panel lines. I have had some interesting emails saying, well, that's an interesting way of doing panel lines. They're out rather than in. No. You need to listen again. And basically what's going on here is that these panel line tape is chart tape. And you can get the tape online, different thicknesses. And it's thick enough itself that when you paint several coats of primer on this, and then later lift the tape off, it leaves a very precise panel line. And then you lightly sand it, it smooths it all out. So I have done the top side. I don't dare want to touch this tape because it comes off pretty easy. It's not really sticky, and I want to be able to get this locked down with the primer before I go and turn it upside down and do the underside, which will have a similar detail. I also got the sky all detailed up. All these panel lines are in the actual positions. I didn't have to do the tail surfaces much because they mostly still have all the original scribe lines that the kit builder made, as well as the sail. You'll see that I put back the vents. I marked where they go. I marked where these are, although you can actually still see them. I'm going to basically cut out the vents on this side. I'm going to cut out the vents on that side, flip them over to this side, and match them up so they're the same size. Also, I've been working on this. This is a lovely little combination piece that I really, really like, because this fits over this. Now, this started life, and I should have shown you that. It's just a white vacuform plastic. There were no scribe lines on it to show me where to make the window cuts. I had to go by pictures of the original and the UFO book. And that fits inside of that, which makes it really, really nice because you get this raised outer framework, but at the same time, I can paint this the right color and not worry about getting anything on here until I'm done, and then I'll use canopy glue, and that will go here. It has to be pressed down pretty tight because it's a bit oversized for the top of this, so I have to squeeze it and glue it down. But I got that done too. So what I'm going to do next is go and primer this. You know, this is really starting to be a turn on, this model, because, you know, Mary and I have been watching Doctor Who, and I'm thinking back about Space 1999 and this program. Really, I think the English and the BBC has done some of the best science fiction on television. Ironically, where did we find this, Mary? We were somewhere in Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight has Rust-Oleum, and its filler primer. It's a high build formula that was like $5, $6 a can. I've never even seen this at Lowell, so I tried it. It does kind of have a high rise to it. I think it's really pretty much the same as their auto primer, but it may be a little bit more filling. And now what I'm doing, and I'm doing it like this because outside we have thunderstorms starting and it's actually raining and it's humid. But this is what we do to get our panel lines. And you want to clear that first, otherwise it will spurt on you. And I'm going to do this over the entire hull, and I'm going to do it layer by layer. The first layer I'm going to do, I'm going to go back over all the tape and press it down, because as it turns out, this actually kind of acts like a adhesive if any of the primer is not sticking that well. One of the things I've found about this primer is that you need to keep it level as much as possible, or it will spit out kind of this textured primer, which is not something we want to have. So this is looking really good, and one of the things that I like to do is, after there's a lot of primer on there, is to keep going around and pressing down the tape. It kind of sticks down better, but now it's really getting locked in. In fact, if I was to peel up some of this, you'd see the panel line underneath. I'll just do a little bit there, and you can see it. I think, Mary, if you zoom in, you can see the panel line. So I'm going to push that back. Did you zoom in? Okay. So I can see that we still need a little more paint on it. I'm using a whole can of this stuff, and usually an entire can will do it. I'm going to use a can for the top and a can for the bottom, and that should give us some nice deep panel lines. So before the paint gets any drier, and what I mean by that is, if it gets really, really dry, it gets brittle. So you want to get these trim tapes off before it gets really, really brittle, and that way it won't chip. And that's why usually the next day, sometimes I do it the first day, but this is right on the edge. So I'm pulling this off. You can see as I pull off the tape, we get a panel line. A fairly deep gutter, you know. What I do is I kind of sand it off, gets rid of the lip. And you can see how well defined that is. There's no tape there anymore. I'm going to do this one now. It helps also, this is a very, very important thing that I forgot to tell you about. It helps a lot to go ahead and sand with a sponge lightly, because you're not going to sand them away. But what you are going to do is sand a lot of the paint off the panel line, and what that's going to do is make it easier for you to remove the tape, because I put over a can of primer on this whole thing, and it has a tendency to bury the tape, and you're going to think, well, I need to put a lot more primer on there because really the tape isn't getting buried. No, what's happening is that the primer builds up over the tape, so you're never going to submerge these panel lines. So really the tape itself, you're not going to submerge it. So really, you don't need to go crazy with the amount of primer, so much so that you thinking you're going to bury these, because I'll show you. Take that, and then they're easier to get off because mostly I've sanded off all the paint that was on top of this tape. I don't know why that's dark in there. You can see even there, it's hard to get to the tape, because it's pretty well buried. There it goes. And again, you can see just how great that is. Really, really works good, this technique. I've been using this technique for a long time. I do scribing as well. I just find this a little easier, and for something like this, and the Skydiver is very weathered and aged looking, this is really kind of the best way to go, I think. Sanding down the fuzzy stuff, you can see the panel lines very clearly now since I've removed the tape, and what I'm doing is going around and sanding it to get rid of the sharp edges that are created by the tape itself, because the paint builds right over the tape, and so there's a little overlap, a little that goes over the top, but it's very easily removed. The scribe tool, that really wasn't too bad. A little piece of putty will fix that. But you can see that sharp edge. I'm going to sand it like that. Blow it, and you got a really nice panel line now. All the panel lines are done on the top side. We've got this light, whoa, really shows it off. You can see how crisp and sharp the panel lines all are. We got all this back down here. So now I know where to cut my holes. So this is really, really very far along. And now I'm to the point where I can flip it over. I can flip it over and do the bottom side tomorrow. And it's not going to be as much. Now we're on to the bottom. There's a lot of detail on the bottom too. Not quite as much as is on the top. I see some vents down here. So what I'm doing is the best I can do by the photographs and the reference I have. There is nothing left of what might have been in here at one time on the bottom side. So I have to take my best guess. Still at it. Still got more to do here on the bottom of this. I've managed to get all the tape on the bottom of the diver part, and I'm just trying to put something on the bottom here to make this look interesting. We got a new batch of tape which does not want to stick, which is a big pain in the and I'm going to just put something down here. It's very difficult to tell in the pictures exactly what is here. I will do the best I can to put some detail on the bottom, which I don't believe anyone's really going to see. It's kind of like doing the windows on the Enterprise. You can't wait for it to be done. We got another one right there, looks like. And then we got, let's see, something going down the side here, it looks like. Now this chart tape does not stick very well. After all, it is chart tape. It's designed to be stuck on paper and removed again and replaced. So it's very low tack. Because the tape's so black, it stands out, and you can put it right up against a straight edge and have the same straight edge. So we're going to put a little bit of this Rust-Oleum high-rise, high-build, fill and scratch primer on here. And I'm going to start right where, as soon as I get some actual primer to come out and not just solvent, I'm going to go ahead and get some on there like so and let that dry and then stick the tape down because it's not wanting to stick very well at all. I'm going to use this whole can probably on the bottom because that'll give me nice deep panel lines, which is what we want. Okay, and that's a first coat. So I'm picking off the tape here, and there it goes. It's see, I waited a little too long, and it takes it a little bit harder to get it off. You're actually good removing this tape. Like the minute it's kind of dry to the touch, it'll come off easier. And I think that piece of tape's gone. It's kind of hard to tell where the tape's gone without having, you want some contrasty light when you do this kind of work. Now you can see the darn things. And there's those. This is why it's good not to bite your nails, because you can actually use these things as tools. And this thing is going to be beautiful. But you can see, you know, now I still have to sand the overflash that goes over this down, but that's about all. And sand it all down smooth, and it'll be ready to paint. So that's going to do it for this week on both the D and on the Skydiver. Next week we will try to, well, the D will definitely be finished. You'll see that model finished. The decals will go on it, and we're going to do the final little paint details. We'll start by putting clear on it first, so we can put the decals on, because you want a very smooth surface so you don't get the icing effect on your decals. And then we'll go back over again with it on matte. On this, we're going to start cutting out the various drains. There's not that many of them, but we're going to cut them out, put screen behind it and stuff, and start prepping it for paint, which is really going to be a neat thing to do. Also next week, we're going to start on the armature for the Martians Attacks SNG Alien, which is going to be a half-scale puppet of our famous aliens from Mars Attacks. So we'll see you all next week. Have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy the new video. See you next week.